Now on to the grows of SAHS. Now, one of the biggest ones that we have is our curriculum constraints. SAHS is a DODEA school, or now known as a DOEA school. It is under strict federal guidance under the Department of Defense, or now the Department of War, which does not allow for our teachers to design their own curriculum, but be told to teach what they are given. This goes into our very strict federal guidelines on what sites are approved or not approved, because they could be trying to steal data, or they have some pieces of their curriculum is not in the same view of what the Department of War wants to push their message through. Number 2, our staff culture and collaboration. Over the years, staff have become increasingly paranoid by one another, and our turnover rate does not allow for continuity or collaboration between individuals. Over the last few years, our turnover rate has been significant, over 50%, which it does not bode well. This is not just because of retirement or promotions, but these are teachers who are leaving due to the different cultures that are being shown. And our last one is our DEI and gender issues. Due to recent presidential executive orders, we are not able to assist or talk about DEI or gender issues that might affect our student population. This goes into our AP psychology class had to be taken off of our class list for this year because of the gender issues that are spoken about in AP, as well as our gender affirming and DEI books that are within our library, as well as even within our art curriculum and the censorship that might go into that area. So our first grow is our curriculum constraints. When I was talking with our focus group 1, which was a group of teachers, we are given an approved curriculum map or plan with all the details to cover or to skip over. And we are required to use the district approved curriculum, and it is a part of our evaluative tool, which means that when any administrator or ISS or district office personnel comes into our school to observe us as teachers, a part of our evaluative tool asks, are they using DODEA approved curricular materials? And if we are not, we need to provide reason for us not using them. So it's very important that we're supposed to be using the materials even if they are not the best suited for our students. When I was able to speak with our principal, we as teachers are allowed to make some adjustments to the curriculum, but we need to use the curriculum as is. We're not supposed to be doing major tweaks or adding or subtracting without a good sense of what's happening within the classroom, and we need to be able to justify the curricular changes that we make. And for my own personal knowledge with this, I have made changes to how my curriculum is presented due to our population of students. So it's not as word heavy due to our high ELL population. I really have tried to slim down as much as I can, or give graphic organizers or break down the materials as best as I can. So the presentation of the curriculum is different, but all of the problems that are used, I can actually pinpoint from our curriculum and or from our books. And I do this because it's backed by my data that I was able to collect from year to year. And I'm able to present that to anybody who comes to ask or anything along those lines. But this does put an additional pressure on teachers to find that delicate balance between supporting our students within the classroom, but also trying to satisfy the district's expectations of. Our next grow is the staff culture and collaboration. Over the last few years, staff members have been putting in ICE complaints against one another, which does not bode well for a collaborative environment. When I spoke to a teacher, this definitely put a hamper in them reaching out to other staff members because they didn't know who could potentially target them or who they could trust within the building. In the last year, we had 9 teachers accused of harassment by one individual, and they were exonerated after a very thorough investigation by our community superintendent. But even the person who filed the complaint had no idea that there was actually going to be a investigation. They just thought that they could make the statement and it just be put on file and to go against these people. So it definitely did not bode well for our culture last year, and it definitely was not something that we wanted throughout our school. In focus group 1, which was also a group of teachers, when it comes to our staff meetings, it doesn't feel like they are building morale across the school. We do have some events run by the Sunshine Committee, which is a teacher-led organization to help build morale. They have helped a little bit here and there, but a lot of times the teachers have stuck to who they know and who they can trust. And from my own personal perspective and knowledge, we have had a higher turnover rate of teachers over the last 3 years, and no one wants to step outside their comfort zone to collaborate because there is this I'm going to tell on you culture on if anybody is doing something slightly wrong, but it still is within the realm of it's okay. That they are being complained against or some sort of malicious intent is being pushed towards that person. Our last grow is our DEI and gender issues. Since our new administration has taken office within the presidential seat, my school is run by the Department of War, and so we have to follow those initiatives by the letter. And so within our focus group 1, we were able to have a conversation about what happened prior to and then after these executive orders. And before these executive orders were given out, we were able to ask students for their gender affirming pronouns and offer these supports to students that did feel marginalized and felt abandoned by some of their communities and cultures and even their family members. But now our hands are tied. We aren't really supposed to bring it up, and if it does come up, we're supposed to pivot. And this was echoed when I had an interview with our school counselor, because we were told that even within our library, we had to get rid of the books that could talk about some of these issues in a more elegant way and a way that could reach our students better. We had to get rid of those books. And even our resources that are within our building have been removed from various counselors, and now we tell the students to seek help outside of the school building. And even at our, from my personal knowledge, at a staff meeting, we were asked to strip our classrooms of anything that could be perceived as DEI or gender issues. And this also included looking at our curriculum to see if there were anything, if there was anything that was brought up that could be perceived as such. So even in statistics, when it came to racial issues about housing, and the statistical significance behind that, that had to be wiped from our curriculum because that no longer was an appropriate conversation to have with high schoolers. So we have had a challenging time figuring out and finding the balance between the executive orders and supporting our students to the best of our abilities. Overall, when it comes to our grows, our hands are really tied when it comes to DEI and gender issues and even the curriculum requirements, because those come from the district and all the way up to the presidential office. So we have to abide by those rules and the restrictions that are given to us to the T. Otherwise, we put ourselves as teachers at risk, which then in turn puts our students at risk. So we try to minimize the fallout for our students as best as we can, and be as frank with them as we can, but we have to sometimes toe the party line when it comes to that. However, we are able to change the course of our staff culture and collaboration, and this needs to be taken into consideration from here on out by our administration and even the staff members within our building. All of our teachers love to work with our group of students because they are unique and they're wonderful humans. But they also can feel the additional pressures that we face and that we need to help combat for the betterment of our students. Because if we as a staff can come together in a supportive and collaborative and positive environment for each other, that will only have a positive effect on our students later on. So I wanted to conclude this by saying thank you for listening. I know that this is a long presentation, but SAHS holds a special place in my heart, and this audit was a wonderful experience to be able to look at my school through a different lens, and to hopefully improve the lives of the students within my building as well as the staff members and community members. Thank you so much and have a great day.